Today on the Help with Debt channel, I'm going to talk to you about company voluntary arrangements. That term can be simplified down into CVA. Now, the term voluntary arrangement describes a process by which an individual, a partnership or a company comes to a formal agreement with their creditors to pay back a proportion of the liability owed over a period of time. The individual voluntary arrangement is well utilised and quite well known, and this year, for instance, some 40,000 people will opt to enter such an arrangement. A partnership voluntary arrangement is much less utilised, due in part to the limited number of partnerships and the costs involved in setting one up, combined usually with IVAs for each partner. Now, a company voluntary arrangement is utilised quite often where a company can trade effectively but has merely some cash flow issues which mean that it cannot pay all its creditors as and when they fall due. A voluntary arrangement is begun by a debtor making a proposal to its creditors. This is quite a complicated document, and therefore it is usually put together by an insolvency practitioner on behalf of the debtor. The insolvency practitioner will need to confirm that the proposal is viable and that he agrees to act as the supervisor of the arrangement if it is agreed. The proposal is generally one which offers to make payments for 60 months, or whatever can be afforded, but is usually at least £200 a month. The proposal is signed by the debtor and is lodged with the court local to the debtor. It is then served upon the creditors, and notice of a meeting is also given. That meeting will take place between 2 and 3 weeks later. At the meeting, the creditors will vote either to accept or reject the proposal. It is often the case that they vote to accept with modifications, which may include an increased contribution if this can be afforded. If the debtor accepts those modifications, they will become binding on him and the vote will count as an acceptance. If he rejects the modifications, it will count as a rejected vote. The debtor has to secure acceptances of 75% of those voting by value. See, I've had cases where debtors with £100,000 worth of debt have had voluntary arrangements agreed by a single vote in favour for a few £100s. The fact that none of the other creditors voted means that they are bound by the arrangement. They had a chance to vote and chose not to. Now, it is possible to adjourn a meeting for up to 2 weeks, and this generally happens if an arrangement is slightly rejected, and it is possible to turn that rejected vote into an acceptance by making, for instance, a slightly better offer, or by chasing in votes which may not yet have been cast, which would ensure that the 75% of votes by value were achieved. In our organisation, we have expertise to ensure that a proposal which is put to creditors has an excellent chance of success. The fees and costs of making the proposal are paid out of the contributions you make, and this means that those fees and costs will be agreed with the creditors. Now, if you're an individual, a partner or a business or a company director and you think that you might benefit from a voluntary arrangement, call me now. My name is Steve Thatcher. My contact number 0808 160 5577, or email me at sthatcher@helpwithdebtuk.com.